Okay, today's podcast is brought to you by our store. If you guys haven't checked out our store lately, there's a lot of really cool products in our store and products that we use and love. And some of the latest products that we have in there is the Accelerated Cellular Detox Powder by Sarah Banta from Accelerated Health Products. And she's got some great stuff. I take that every morning, first thing when I wake up in the morning, to help pull toxins and heavy metals and things like that out of my body with this clay and diatomaceous earth and charcoal. It's a really, really great product. And we also have added the Chili Pad, which is a really great product to cool your bed down in the summertime, which is, we've been loving this thing and we use it every day and helps us get really, really good sleep in the hot summers. And also the Chi Vitalizer machine and the PEMF from Truly Heal. We also got the oxygen concentrators. We've got the Magnetico Sleep Pad. We've got Aura Wellness Shine if you want to remineralize your teeth. We've got the Scalar Energy Rest Shields. We've got the Andreas Sacred Seed Oils, and one of your guys' favorites, the Soul CBD oils, which are extremely powerful. So there's a lot of really cool products in our store, so make sure to check those out if you want to take your health to the next level and do it quickly. And we're also brought to you by the Extreme Health Academy. Now, this is an academy we're going to be launching here very, very soon, probably in September of 2017. And it's going to be a paid membership community, completely private. And what we're going to be doing is recruiting a lot of the top-level doctors that we have on the show to create courses on the organs of the body, all the different organs. So we're going to learn how to apply practical information, how to really treat all the different organs of the body. We're going to be doing courses on health challenges like digestion, diabetes, cancer, all these types of things every month. And we're also going to be doing group cleanses every season. So when the seasons change, we can all go through a group cleanse together, overseen by a doctor. There's going to be a community in there, and there's going to be all kinds of monthly hangouts and meetings, and we can hang out with each other and share information with each other. It's going to be the place if you really want to take your health to the next level or just overcome any kind of health challenge you guys have. This is an awesome community, and I'm really excited about it. So if you guys want to get on the early bird waiting list to make sure you ensure the best price possible, go to extremehealthradio.com/536, and you can also check out our store as well. Episode 536.
We're off and running.
Off and running.
Howdy, howdy.
You know how long it's been since you've been on? I did a little note-taking. I did a little investigatory
digging
this morning. People are wondering, is Kate alive? Is Kate a real person?
I'd say 5 weeks.
April 9th.
No. Really? Serious?
Yeah, episode 517.
Who was that one?
That was with this girl named Kate. And me and you.
I've been... Me?
Yeah.
Me and you?
Me and you.
No, I've done another one with you since then.
No, that was the last one.
I don't believe it.
It's true. I went on to our Free For All Friday section on our website, and it was 517. We talked about inspiring books. We talked about autism. We talked about living your dream, listener questions, and that was April 9th. No.
We talked with that one nice lady, I'm totally blanking on her name, that had to go across the street to her brother's house.
Oh.
See, you're cray-cray. There's no way. I remember talking to her. She's awesome.
No, you've only been on since it was April when the last time.
No, why don't you find her and dig her up in your archives? And why am I blanking on her name right now? She was so cool.
Let me find it.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. Look at you trying to...
I'm trying to sabotage you right now.
That's not cool.
That's not good.
And live, or not live, but in front of all these other lovely people of the world.
Who was it, do you think? Oh, wait, describe the show it was that you were last on? Because I thought our Free For All Friday show was the...
I'm forgetting. It was so long ago, but it wasn't April long ago. It was like at least May.
But what was the show about? Or she had to go over to her...
I don't know. We were trying to connect with her at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
And we couldn't get her because of the phone. Bad connection. So she ran across the street. Thank God her brother lived right there.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, she was so cool. I'm just blanking on her name.
Oh my gosh, how is it that we can't remember these
We
things?
talked to these people for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and they're lovely, and we love them. And it's like then you have 5 more shows, and you just totally blank on people's names.
I'm trying to think.
I don't know.
It wasn't Jing Slinger. Susan Chen, maybe Lyme disease.
Yeah, it was.
Susan Chen.
Yeah.
527.
Susan.
Oh, that's right. You were okay.
Okay, what day was that?
Now you're putting
Moment of truth. Da, 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 da.
Now you're. But I was thinking when the last time you were on for a Free for All Friday show.
Yeah, well,
That's
true.
That was June 1st.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know. I remember sitting right here in this chair. This
chair.
microphone.
That's right.
Well, you were right about the last free for all, but I'm not going to give you
You're
not going to give you an inch with the other one.
Yeah.
That was a good show, Susan Chan. That's right.
Yeah, Lyme disease symptoms. She wanted to look like she wanted to die. Remember that? She was so bad. She was like 5 years.
It looks like she wanted to die.
Well, I'm reading the subject.
That didn't sound good. Yeah. I
the
remember
title.
that. Oh, she had a gnarly story.
Yeah.
That was pretty severe.
Yeah, right?
For a long time, too.
Yeah. Like 5 years in bed or something like that?
Yeah, I hope that reading that email that we had from our other friend, Kiki, turned around and helped. I hope Kiki did listen to that episode.
I don't remember that email.
You know, I read a whole email about limes.
Oh, on that show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm hoping that was, something helpful for her.
And you know what, too? We're going to get that guy. Do you know that guy I was telling you about the other day who was in Huntington Beach? He was like a band guy. Like
Like a musician band.
Yeah,
guy.
we're going to get him. Have you seen the emails that came in from him?
I did. He has like a U2 cover band.
Yeah.
How could we not love him?
I know. He's got
Is
a
he
YouTube.
going to be on this show?
Yeah, we're going to get him in studio. And it's so funny because he was like, yeah, I've been in Huntington Beach for, the last 9 years and I just moved to Colorado.
What?
And I said, no way, that's crazy because we've been doing our show for 5 years and we've been neighbors for 5 years. And as soon as I email you, like you moved to Colorado. But he's coming back out here in August.
To live?
No, I think just to visit.
Okay.
But he's going to do a show, his whole thing. The whole reason why he got onto health and stuff like that is because of Lyme disease.
Because his body has Lyme?
Yeah, so we're going to do a whole show on Lyme.
Wow. He has sought out natural stuff?
Yeah, he's done a lot. He's got a really cool YouTube channel. You might want to look him up. It's called Xiren. Zirin is how he pronounces his name. And if people want to look that up, he's got a cool YouTube channel and he does a lot of reviews and stuff and talks about his Lyme journey and all that.
Is that his name, do you think?
Yeah, Zirin. I think his name is Zirin.
Not the name of the band.
I think that's the name of the band too.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Zirin.
Never heard of it.
Xiren. Get used to it.
Gosh, I don't know if there's a lot of people with the first name beginning with an X.
X. Yeah.
You know?
Xavier. I knew an Xavier. Or knew of an Xavier.
Yeah, that's right. Xavier. That works. Interesting.
Xena, the
warrior. The warrior princess. No, she was...
Xena.
No, she was Xena.
Was it?
Oh, let me look.
Oh,
this is why I'm here.
This is why you're here?
Xena.
Oh, brother.
Let's look up. Maybe you're right. Xena.
Xena, the warrior princess.
Let me look. Xena. You're right.
Am I right?
Oh, my gosh.
See? And I was right about the show, too, but you had to come and try to correct me.
Okay, I stand corrected. Officially.
No, but you were right, too. I forgot that you were, because I was just thinking our last Free For All Friday, but that is crazy. Our last Free For All Friday together was April 9th.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, I'm glad.
You have any business to attend to before we dive in?
Yeah, I want to read a couple iTunes reviews. This is pretty cool.
I love those.
One was from R3D.
R2D2.
R2D2.
R3D2. He had a little genetic, he just one little chromosome.
One little thing off.
Right.
It's funny. It's funny, these people's names. R3D Viper.
Nice.
Love this show. Great recording quality. Lots of great health tips and guests.
Nice.
So that was cool.
I'll take that.
And then Jess on? This is weird. Jess on the Brink.
Like just on the brink, maybe?
What's that?
Maybe like just on the brink.
Or JESS on the brink.
Okay.
So he writes a cool review. He says, absolutely.
Or she.
Oh, yeah, it could be a she. Absolutely love this podcast. It's the only one I subscribe to and listen to consistently. As a nurse and a patient advocate, I'm constantly looking for alternative theories and treatments for myself, my family, and my clients. This podcast and the Extreme Health Radio website have opened my mind to so many options. Western medicine is amazing in so many respects, but it doesn't do an effective job in addressing the chronic disease that we're plagued with today. Extreme Health Radio helps to me fill in the gaps and implement things that will help prevent chronic disease and augment treatment for those in the thick of it. The topics are balanced across mind, body, spirit, and technology, simplicity, and even some downright bizarre. Uh-oh.
I love it. It's true.
Uh-oh, she's calling us crazy. She's saying we're crazy.
I know. I'll take it.
The conversation style is easy and relatable. Take what speaks to you and leave the rest behind.
I say I agree with that because I do the same. Some
That's
of our
right.
guests, I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Yeah, it's so true. I like that review. It's honest.
And then she says, search for a topic that interests you and give it a listen. I so appreciate what Justin and Kate are doing. And to show it, I support them by using their Amazon site for making all my purchases. No way.
Oh, right on, Jess.
That's awesome. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
My sincerest thanks and my highest recommendation.
I like that review because I think that's true. I mean, I'm in a place where I'm like, I don't agree with everything either, but I also think some stuff is downright bizarre. I mean,
right. Oh, totally. Yeah.
You hear stuff and you're like, is that for real? Or could that be? And it's like, all we have is our own experience or talking to people that have had theirs or
what do you think is the
claim
most
they have.
Bizarre thing that you've heard on the show?
I think it was interesting to hear Ken Rolla talk about a black hole in his bedroom. That was different. I'm not saying it didn't happen, and I love Ken Rolla, so who knows, but that was bizarre. Yeah. Adam Bergstrom's bizarre.
He's crazy.
I love him, but man, he's like, we always say this about Adam, he's almost other planetary. He's so interesting.
He's from another one of those fake planets.
Nibiru. Yeah. Just kidding.
No, he's crazy.
It's so interesting, and it's like, I don't know, and I'm trying to think of if there's ever... I mean, Chris Kaler's a trip.
I was going to say, that would be the first thing that came to my mind.
He was a trip.
Yeah.
And I love him too. I love all these people as people and conversations. And I think they have such interesting things to add to the world and kind of like, it's like a big pot of soup. I'm just getting this vision of like a big, like witch at a cauldron kind of. And it's like you sprinkle a little of this, a little bit of that. Some people like the whole soup and some people don't like the flavor and it's like all together. But you just kind of keep mixing your own soup with stuff until you get what works for you and what you like,
We call Chris Kaler Scalar Wave.
Scalar Wave.
Chris Scalar Wave.
Chris Scalar Wave.
Yeah, he might be... Well, the stuff by Adam Bergstrom is... I'd have to say probably the stuff that you said, too.
Yeah, do you?
The Ken Rolla thing. Ken Rolla's interesting. He's probably the least... not the least interesting, but the least hard to believe of those three.
Yeah.
And then Adam Bergstrom and then Chris Kaler.
Yeah.
I love Adam Bergstrom. His stuff is just so bizarre, though. It's like it's really weird.
Yeah.
It's just so. I love talking to him because it's like it's just a mix between health and spirituality, and it's just so weird.
It's so different.
Yeah.
I know, and all these things. I'm not saying they're not true. I just think sometimes I do wonder, like when we give out our website to friends and family or people that ask. Like last night, I had a friend who called up and. Was wondering about laser therapy, if I could work on her mom or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And, cause we have the what is it called? The Q laser.
The Q
that
laser.
Unfortunately we can't sell anymore.
Yeah. Our friends in high places don't allow us to.
The powers that be.
The powers that be say you can't do that anymore.
Healing modalities.
Yeah, we can't have anything that works.
Right.
Anyway.
Where was I going with that?
No, your friend,
so she asked the name of our website again and I said, it's extremehealthradio.com. And as I said it, I was like, she's very Christian and very like, I love her. And I agree with a lot of the things that she agrees with. But I think, if she found some of the episodes we have, she just think we're off our rocker. Or she think we've like sold our souls to the dark side or something because this stuff is so bizarre and it's so not like the average health. You think health, like, they're just about like giving people information about, she's all about the laser with light healing and magnets and things like that. Like she understands the science, well, enough behind them to know that they work. Cause I used the laser on her own back and it totally healed some arthritic conditions and stuff.
Right.
Or I should say lessened. I don't know if it healed them or just lessened her pain.
Yeah.
So anyway, sometimes I cringe too. Like I don't want to be a cringer. I just have to own that some of it's just not for everybody and they're not even all for us. And it's not even like we're agreeing with half the people, but yeah. It's just putting it out there for the people that do connect with it. And we connect with some more than others. And
Chris Kaler might be the one that's the most
controversial and
bizarre and weird. Mm-hmm. He's an interesting guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what, his stuff is so out there. It's like so different from Adam Bergstrom's too.
Yeah.
Well,
then you have like dynamic people like Dana Vitalis and stuff, who's so like intense, and like some of the stuff he does, it's not as out there as these guys, but it's, there's people like him who are like, this is the way, and like, they think I don't know, they have such a strong following of people, so it's almost cult-like in a way, thinking that this is the way you do it. So I think that those people are interesting to me too, and it can be more bizarre. Like, they do things really different. Like, Dana Vitalis is a trip. Oh, yeah. In his lifestyle, Oh, yeah. It makes him, I feel like it makes him really for an interesting guest. And
yeah, he's cool. I like he really lives out what he talks, which is cool.
I think so too.
And he's a shining example of being healthy, I think, too.
I think so too.
But what I can't figure out about him is about his tattoos, like we're talking about the other day.
Yeah, we were talking about that at the bookstore online yesterday. We saw a girl with a big old tattoo on her calf.
Yeah.
And we started talking about tattoos, and I said, you brought up something really interesting, I thought. You said, what if that girl in line had, or anybody with a tattoo, but we were looking at her specifically, and you said, what if she had some injury or some pain or something going on with that area of her body and needed to drive DMSO into that area for healing.
Right.
And it was a really good point, because DMSO sucks things into it and brings it into really deep into your body. So it's like, I don't think you'd want to do that over tattoo ink, which brought up Daniel Vitalis. And we were talking about like
his sleeves
he has of just solid, are they greenish?
I don't know what color, but you know what? Props to him, because those, as you age, that's never going to look bad, right? It's just a solid color. So it's not going to distort.
It looks like he's just wearing Under Armour his whole life.
Yeah. So it's not going to distort the actual design.
That's true, actually. It might fade up a little bit. Yeah, what would he do if he wanted to drive DMSO into his arms, I don't know. Unless you use, I don't know about this. We've researched it, and so have you. Haven't you? Organic tattoo ink. And I'm still at a standstill with it, because I want one more than anything. I want a little tiny phrase on my arm, like very skinny, very dainty, very girly, very Etsy, very Pinterest.
Very Pinterest.
But I just can't pull the trigger right now until I feel good about it. You can look up vegan ink, you can look up non-toxic ink, but you can't find any. And I think you can even find organic, but there's nothing that doesn't have some kind of chemical that just makes me nervous. Like, they're all derived from something that has chemicals. It seems to be. I haven't found an ink yet. There might be one. If anybody knows of any out there that you really think are like vegetable based or something that's like a carrier that's not going to have heavy metals, please let me know. Email me.
Yeah, they say vegan, but that it's like, oh well,
and you don't have
that's
animal
great,
products.
But you don't have animal products, but you're getting all these chemicals.
Right.
So it's like vegan's really just kind of meaningless when it comes to that.
Right.
Well, I guess
depends on what you're looking to achieve. I mean, I'm all about not, having animal cruelty done in order to make yourself pretty. But I don't know.
Yeah. So are you hoping that girl doesn't find some of our weirder shows?
Honestly, like, you don't want anyone to think you're a weirdo or like judge you. I think it's funny on the like kind of Christian journey and working through a lot of the spiritual questions. I think that you can still kind of fall back into that place of fear, people judging you,
Right.
So but at some point you have to let that go too. Cause I'm like, I know my relationship with God and I know my higher power, my spiritual connection, like, and I'm not saying I'm anti anything. Like, I'm not a Christian. I just am funkier than a lot and way different than most, and it's because I've seen these other things and tasted these other modalities, and they seem to be wholesome truth as well. So, and part of you does cringe and you're like, oh yeah, I hope she doesn't find the weirder ones. But you know what? If that's a challenge to her balance in her life, then, to really work through, because I've had to sort through this stuff. It's been like, this has been one of the biggest journeys of truth finding and like going deeper into what I believe is right and true, and
actually looking at things and not just writing them off and judging everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's scary and it's challenging and it's uncertain, and it really takes your world and just like shatters it.
Yeah.
And then you have to pick up the pieces that you can kind of fit back together in a way maybe a little different like than before.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I've done it in a way that's not I've done it, but I've been on this journey that's so much more fulfilling. Mm-hmm. And I feel like my pieces have been put together mostly back to be whole. I'm not 100% whole. I don't know if we ever are, but mine makes more sense now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm missing some parts that needed to go missing, and I've added other parts in. So like my shape is different than it was,
Yeah.
Like It's interesting.
It's one thing to just look at things and completely write them off based out of fear, you know,
right.
If you're just afraid of something, or, you know, if you talk to any Christian about reincarnation or something like that, it's like immediate write-off.
Right.
And it's another thing to actually look at these things and look at the evidence and explore different ideas and options without fear.
Right. Just have an honest conversation.
Yeah. And just say, hey, like, you know, it's like having a conversation where the thing you're talking about is as a separate entity in the room. So if you're in the room with one other person, that subject you're talking about it's as if that is a third person in the room, and not talking about that subject as if it's part of you, where you're defending this idea that has to be true because otherwise you've got something wrong. Whereas if you're just talking about it objectively as if it's another entity, then you can just explore things, you know?
Right.
Steve Pavlina was saying a really cool thing once. He was talking about using ideas or sharing ideas or exploring ideas, like you would, searching for a tool in a toolbox.
Okay.
So it's like he was saying, you know, if you have this idea of, I want to be, you know, I want to explore this subject matter or whatever. And in order to do that, like the end result of exploring that subject is being a certain way. Like that's the goal.
Okay.
But in order to get there, I need to, you know, look into this whole subject matter I've never looked into before. And so what he talks about is like, you know, ideas don't have to be you. They can just be like a tool. So in the same way that you use a wrench for a certain part of your house, if you're building a house, and then use a hammer for something else, you can use that idea as a tool to explore that subject matter so that you can become that person. But then you just put the tool back in the toolbox, and you don't have to, it doesn't have to become
an appendage or something.
Yeah. Part of who you are.
Right.
And you're defending it like it's you. You're just using it for a purpose.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting idea.
I think if we viewed it like that, there'd be a lot more freedom. You know, you don't have to hold the tool forever. It doesn't have to become part of your, like an appendage. Like, gives you a lot more. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that guy. He has some cool writing.
Yeah.
How'd you find Steve Pavlina?
I found him years ago. I think, I don't know, somehow online I found one of his articles.
Yeah, he brings up some fascinating stuff.
Yeah, he's cool.
Well, I had a really weird experience this week.
I know, you told me, and you came flying in that door, just laughing.
I did laugh. I'm still laughing.
Laughing.
I went to the doctor.
Oh no.
I went to the OBGYN.
To the enemy, to the medically trained, to the absolute enemy.
They are not the enemy. They can be bizarre. Talk about bizarre.
Yeah,
I thought that experience was more bizarre than any one we've had on the show. Well, so I hadn't gone for probably 3 years. The last OB appointment I had was for... When was that?
A couple years ago?
Yeah, I was referred to somebody else more holistic. And I went and it was weird. I left there thinking it was weird too, because she wasn't at all like what I had expected.
Yeah, your holistic doctor, or one of them,
recommended me to an OBGYN.
And this OBGYN that you went to as a referral from a holistic doctor was completely just...
It was bizarre. Yeah, I went in to talk about the fibroid stuff that I have going on and like other stuff, and I walked away just feeling totally disempowered. I was like, so what are the options? And she's like, oh, you know, acupuncture doesn't really do anything. You just kind of have to live with them. I'm like, what the heck?
I love how in the whole universe, she knows that acupuncture, like I can make that definitive statement.
Yeah.
It's only been around for 5,000 years. If it doesn't do anything, then there hasn't been one person in the history of mankind that has ever been affected positively by acupuncture. Well, I can say that.
I think in this, she was referring to the fibroid and its size. She was like, I don't think acupuncture will do much for it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean. It was weird. It was super disempowering. But
so you went to a new lady?
Well, no, I went back to the lady I'd gone to before, who I haven't loved for a long time. But right now, I'm going to be working with some other people on trying to give this fibroid thing a shrink. Maybe I'm going to start using some cannabis oil and maybe some hemp paste from Kenrola. And
you're going to work with Kenrola?
I am going to work with Kenrola.
Yeah.
I'm determined to give this a go because I feel like our clock is ticking.
Yep.
So we got to deal with this fibroid thing. Anyway, so I went back to a lady that I'd gone to for the last like 15 years. And it had been 3 years since I'd seen anyone. So I walk in and they say, first of all, you know, can we have your insurance card? And I say, I don't have one. And they're like, oh, they look at you like you're the devil, you know, like, what are we going to do with you? I said, I'm cash pay because we have Green Insurance for people who don't know.
Yeah.
We signed up with Carrie Gray's company, Green Insurance.
Look them up on our shows. I think it was episode 143.
Was it?
Something like that. Look up Green Insurance in the archives.
Well, we're going to get her back on soon too, because I've been in communications with her, and she said that they have so much that's happened since that show.
Yeah.
And by the way, I have to say to people, if you do go back and listen to that show, when we spoke with Carrie, it was a catastrophic, like, it was basically if you were at death's door and you wanted to use natural remedies instead of what's handed to you Western wise.
Yeah.
So it was for basically like you were terminal or you were chronic or you had no hope.
Right.
This stuff is like, okay, now we're finally using it like we were using our other health share, where you can go to your doctor and you can. They've changed their whole model. They've changed their whole model.
Yeah.
So that's important for people to know. It's not just what it was when we spoke with her.
Right.
So anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, it's completely different.
So I tell the people at the office I'm going to do a cash pay because I have a health share, and they're like, we don't know what to do with that, but okay, here's the cash rate.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So then they have me fill out all this paperwork, and I'm filling out the paperwork, and it was like, I mean, I'm at the OBGYN just to get a women's wellness exam, right? Just to check every now and then, which, by the way, I had done a bunch of reading, and you know, they scare you into going every single year.
Right.
And
it's like mammograms.
Yeah. And if you don't, you're going to have this cancer and ovarian spreads so quick, you're dead, you know?
Yeah. You're going to die. You're going to die unless we can prevent you from dying.
Right. So I haven't felt like this in so long. I just hadn't been to a doctor like this in so long. It was the weirdest experience. And I knew that like I hadn't been having any problems. I was like, yeah, you know, I'll go in every couple of years. And if I have problems, I'll go in and find, you know, out what I need to when I do. Well, so I'm filling out this paperwork, and it's like asking me all these questions about like, do you have sinus problems? Do you have a history of high cholesterol? Do you have like, and I'm thinking,
have you ever had a toothache?
It's like that. It was like, do you get chronic ear infections? Do you breathe? Like, do you?
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I'm just circling no on everything because I don't want anything on my chart, you know? And I'm like, everyone has sinus pressure now and then. I'm not going to tell them I have like a sinus problem, you know?
That's one of the things too that you worry about and wonder, okay, what are they doing with this information? Is this going to affect my insurance rates, my policies? Where is this information going?
Yeah, why are they collecting all this data? It's like, you don't need to know about my sinus cavity when you're looking at my hoo-ha.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, what does that have to do with that?
Yeah, what does my sinus have to do with my hoo-ha?
To put it nicely. So I'm just like, this doesn't make any sense, you know?
Yeah.
So, I was annoyed by that because I'm like, gosh darn it. Like, so anyway, I fill out this paperwork. I'm like, whatever. I need to get my annual exam and get out of here.
Yeah.
So then the nurse comes back and gets me, and she takes me back and does my blood pressure. And, while she's taking my blood pressure, she's like, what's the name of your pharmacy? And I said,
your pharmacy.
Oh gosh, I don't know.
And I told you should have said, my pharmacy, that's the garden in my backyard.
Right. And my supplements in my...
It's spelled a little different.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Pharmacy equals FARM.
Yeah.
Farm, it's my farm. So she was like baffled, and she kind of looked at me, and I said, I don't think I've been to a pharmacy in 10, 12 years. And she's like, oh, okay.
Oh.
So I see her scribbling something over there,
Hasn't been to the pharmacy
probably, right?
Years. Oh.
Right.
Check.
So then after that, she was confused and says, now do you take any like vitamins? Cause you left that section blank. And I said, I take so many supplements. There wasn't room. So I didn't bother.
Nice.
At this point, I know she knows I'm one of those granola weirdos.
Yeah.
And so
she's like, in her mind, she's thinking, oh, this one's going to be a problem.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Yep. So she, instead of pushing it, she just left it. You know, she wasn't like, oh, tell me all the names. Cause I was like, you don't care that I take like, I mean, why do you care? You know?
Yeah, I take vitamin B17.
Yeah, you want to know what Bilex does? I can tell you, but like, really, where's this going to get us? And it's a waste of everyone's time. I know why I take them. I don't know why you need to know why I take them.
Yeah, it's none of her business. Really.
So none of her business. So then I stand up, and she's taking me back to the office, and she says, "Oh, so the last time you had, you came in to see doctor or whatever, you know?" I almost said her name. She's like, "The last time you came in to see her was 6 years ago? And she looks at me, and I said, yeah, I think that's about right, you know, because I had known that I'd gone to another doctor 3 years prior.
Yeah, so it wasn't that long, but even to this doctor.
Yeah, it was 5 or 6 years, whatever she said. And she looked at me, and she kind of made a joke out of it. You could tell she was trying not to like offend me, but she laughed, and she goes, bad patient. Like that, shaking her head, bad patient, like naughty. And then it was like we move on. Yeah, like you naughty, like you know better, like you know that you're supposed to come in every year. And I was like, wow, I just got called a bad patient.
Wow, here I come for your services to pay you money. and then you're criticizing me.
It was weird.
Like, if I had a hot dog stand and some guy comes up and buys a hot dog, and I said, "Oh, you're a bad customer.
I know.
You're horrible.
What are you doing eating that hot dog?
Yeah.
Why are you buying this?"
Like, the first business 101 is don't belittle your customers.
I know.
Right?
It was. I know. I thought the same thing, and I was like, "Wow."
But again, all the programming that's gone into that statement is so. It's like if you think about the hours and hours and hours of programming that really went into a statement like that, like, wow, how sad.
Yeah, right.
How sad for her.
It was sad.
Yeah.
And then I kind of was like, I mean, she turned her back and I following her down the hall, and I mouthed to myself like, OMG, like, where am I?
I just got ridiculed.
I do that a lot. I do that a lot. I realize when people aren't looking at me, I'll be like, oh my gosh, like, this is bizarre. I'll be like, what just happened? Like,
I do that too.
Yeah. You like or you put your hands up and you're like, what? Like, is anyone like, where's the candid camera? Like, this is so weird, you know? It
would have been funny to say, okay, I'm a bad patient, so how do you define bad?
Right.
How do you define that?
And like you said, when I came home and told you, you're like, no, actually, I'm a good patient. I'm a really good patient.
Yeah.
Like, you're defining bad based on whether I come in every year or not, or whether I'm like,
yeah. And by patient, like, aren't we to be our own doctor? So I'm the patient of myself.
Right. Right.
So how do you like,
I mean, there's so many, like,
yeah.
They know what they know, you know?
Yeah, that's so sad.
So then I get whisked away to the little room, put on my little paper gown. It's a lot of fun. You men are very lucky you don't have to do this.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm waiting there for her, and she comes in like, like they do. And I was expecting to get my 7 minutes at the best, you know? Mm-hmm. But she came in.
She walks in, and your stopwatch just goes click.
I should have. I would have loved.
See how long.
I should have done that. That would have been really funny.
Oh, thanks for spending 4 minutes and 12 seconds.
4.5 seconds on me. Right.
Appreciate that.
So she comes in and, she sits right. It was so weird. Like, no, she didn't sit right down. That was the weird part. She starts like putting my arm up above my head and like doing a breast exam as she's talking to me before it's like, as she's like, hey, how's it going? It's been a while, you know? And like, there wasn't any like, hey, let's sit down and talk about like, has anything changed? Are you like, she's trying to knock it all out. I can tell, like, and I had just come off of a 90-minute or almost 2-hour appointment earlier this month with a new doctor that I found, Dr. Ingalls, which
a new holistic doctor
I'm pretty stoked on. Yeah. And he was just like, let's cover all the bases. These are the new tests we're going to order. We're going to do all the stuff.
90 minutes. Yeah.
And it probably was more than that. He spent a little extra. But so she was like, didn't have the time to sit down. So anyway, she's talking to me and all this stuff. And at the end of everything, she sits down and she's like, so any questions? And I was like, oh, this fibroid's been hanging out for a while. And she goes, it hasn't grown in size? And I said, no. And I said, if anything, it shrunk a little. And she goes, well, how do you know that? And I said, well, I've been getting, I've had my naturopathic doctor just order requisitions for me to go in once a year and check the size of it. And sure enough, it hasn't grown, right? And I said, oh yeah, my other doctor, my naturopathic doctor, checks it and we get an ultrasound every year. And she says, well, I'd really like to see that. Like, if you could send that to me. You could tell she was very like, why are you going to another doctor?
Yeah, I don't know about this natural doctor.
And he's not an OBGYN specialist. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, first of all, that's pretty demanding. Like,
yeah,
whatever. So I was just kind of laughing like, sure, yeah, you can have it. I'm not going to send it over. So then she goes into the whole, so you plan on having kids anytime soon, And I said, well, yeah, probably this, we're getting a bit older and even though I don't let that affect, completely my decision, like it is a factor, but I'm not worried about it. And she says, she looks at my chart and she's like, oh, 38. Oh yeah, you have no time to waste. Like you should have been pregnant yesterday. Like you've already had 2 egg drops. This is like serious business. Like you gotta, she starts to go into this doctor mode of like, oh, this is the reality and stuff. So anyway, she goes on her rant for like 30 seconds and then I look at her and I kind of smirked and I'm like, yeah, for some reason, I'm just not worried about it. Like,
yeah,
I'm not worried about it. Like, I believe we're going to have kids and it's going to be all good. And like, no, I've had some other issues. And that's what I said. I'm like, first of all, why would you say that to someone who has no idea my journey?
Right.
And I said, I've had some other issues. And she goes,
she
like, what?
She hasn't bothered to ask.
No. And I said, oh, I've had some pancreas, liver pain. I've gone on and off of like having high levels of a marker and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, well, your pancreatitis gets way worse with pregnancy. It's like, oh,
on everybody.
That's bad, right? On everybody.
I have access to all, 3 billion women who have ever been pregnant.
Yeah, right. And I've served them all. I've delivered 3 million babies. So she's like telling me that that's a fact and that, we might have to put you on pain meds, to control that when you're pregnant because there's nothing you can do. But
she said that? She said, we might have to?
Yeah.
As if you have no choice.
We might have to put you on pain meds. Well, the conversation was, we're going to do this or we're going to do that. Gosh. And then she says, and by the way, you should now, starting now, all the way through pregnancy, make sure that you eat a super low fat diet. Like, you got to be eating the lowest fat diet, like, if you're going to control this thing. And I'm thinking, like, you know nothing about nutrition. You know nothing about, like, you're basing this off of, like, okay, I get where she's coming from out of fear about the liver pancreas thing with the fats, causing inflammation or causing a digestive thing. But I'm thinking, oh my gosh, do you even know what runs a baby? What makes babies grow? What make moms healthy? What, like
healthy fats,
man.
So I love how it's like, we're going to have to do this to you, or we're going to have to give, as if, like the patient has no choice.
Right.
Like, it's just such assumptions that are made.
Right.
It's so crazy. And I love how she was saying, well, you should have been pregnant, 3 years ago. It's like, and we're talking about it afterwards, and it's just like, if you have a spiritual idea about health and life and all this stuff, it's like, when you get pregnant is the time you're supposed to get pregnant. And had we had a kid 10 years ago, the kid would be different. So like, I really believe that kids come in, and God allows kids to come in, and it's one of the things where it's perfect at the right time, whenever it's supposed to happen. And if you never have kids, then that's it never was supposed to happen. I know people push things so much now. Yeah, I feel like the kids are going to come at the exact right time. I know it. And it's just for her, it's like everything is so clinical and everything is so mechanistic. It is. Your a number associated with you is 3 and 8. So in the textbooks, anything over 3 and a 5 is this, that, or the other. And it's like, we don't operate. Life doesn't operate like. No, I'm not a robot. Yeah, life doesn't operate by its percentages and it's, I don't know. It's so crazy. Well, my newest thing, and I probably shared this on the last thing, I've been following this one woman online, and she said, she's like more of like a kind of a prophetic out there woman. And she says, when you are a believer, when you have faith, she's like, facts are temporal and subject to change. I'm like, yeah, so this lady can tell me facts all day long. I don't live in that realm. I don't live in that, like, this box closed system where it's like, this is how it works for everyone. Yeah, again, like Dr. Massey says, show me a standard human being and I'll show you a standard answer. Like, there is no such thing as a standard human being. Yeah, he applies that to the standard of care, which is what she was trying to apply with you. Totally. And I guess that could be. The standard of care is the same thing you're saying. I think so. I'm like, yeah, who cares? I'm an age, so I'm not a statistic. I mean, maybe you could put me in a group on a general, but look at the general population. They're sick. Yeah. They're messed up. Like I just don't think that applies to me. I've had my own challenges, but I'm just refusing to accept that, Yeah. And it's subject, even if I have a quote fact, it is temporal and subject to change because I believe it is. So, right. And I strongly believe that. So I think she was a little bit taken aback by my confidence. Yeah. So then as she wraps up and stuff and was like, telling me, it was weird. I mean, she told me that basically it's too late to have surgery if I wanted to because I don't have enough time to recover because my eggs are going to be bad. And I mean, it's just fear. And then it was like, and then that could affect your fertility and you could have scar treatments and blah, 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 or scar issues, what do you call that? Scar tissue. So I just was like, wow, that's empowering. So as she left, first of all, do no harm. First of all, do no harm. Oath. Right. Well, she didn't read that. So she skipped that part when she signed it. So then she goes, okay, well, I'll see you back here when you're pregnant, like that, like very like, I will be the one who is in charge of this baby. I will see you when you're here. And she looked at me. Did she say it in a mocking way, like she doesn't think you will? No, she said, I'll see you back when you're pregnant. And then she looked at me as she left and she goes, I wrote it down. I'm going to get it wrong. But she said something like, let's just hope your predictions are true. No way. Let's just hope your predictions are true. Like that was a little mocky at the end, it was a little mocking. It was pretty funny. She's like, let's just hope. You could tell there was just a little bit of like, you seem so confident, but we'll see because I probably do in vitro and all kinds of fertilization methods with people your age all the time. And I'm a doctor. I see it all. You have no idea like how hard this could be for you. Man. So that was crazy. So I walked out going like,
The only reason I had gone back to her, because I haven't been happy with her for many times, is just because, honestly, it was affordable to pay the cash rate and just get my dumb test. Just to go get the stupid test and make sure I don't have some kind of lurking cancer, which...
Yeah, that's why every woman goes.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not a bad idea. I'm not about, like, not taking care of yourself and knowing, just so you're, you know, you have more information. But it's like, I had nothing to share with her. I was just like, hey, I might as well ask her opinion about this fibroid because I'm paying her $125, you know?
Yeah.
But, I thought, I won't be seeing you anymore, and you definitely won't be seeing my baby. And then I had this whole, like... oh my gosh, you're the last person on earth I would want to be in this room, like taking my child out of my body. Like, this is crazy. Yeah. It was nuts. The whole thing was hilarious.
See, one thing that people don't realize is that, like, you know, if you take care of yourself in the way that everybody else does in this world, then your ultimate fate, most likely, the chances are, is going to be in the hands of people like that, people who think like that. And, you know, there's that book that I read a while back called Selling Sickness.
Oh, yeah.
And it's selling fear, because that's all that they can do. And I imagine doctors nowadays are becoming, medical doctors, I should say, and probably all doctors too, are becoming more and more disenfranchised with the career path, because patients are coming in more educated than ever and questioning them, and they have to have answers. And the more patients that question them, the more sort of bullets in their shield that sort of occur.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, but that's the issue, is that, you know, if people don't take care of themselves, then ultimately they end up in the hands. I mean, we're going through it with your grandpa's wife.
My grandpa's wife right now, right?
You know, brain cancer, and
right.
You know, it's like you see it, and it's fear, and you know, people.
And here's your choice. Here's your 5 choices, and that's it, or your 2 choices, or. Here, you don't get a choice. Like I have this woman whose hair I still kind of cut on the side sometimes. And she had come to me forever. Like, I probably done her hair for 15 years, but she's going in for her like 60 to 60 second surgery.
60 seconds?
Yeah. 62 surgeries this woman has had after this one.
How's her health?
Not good.
Really? You don't say.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
But it's because every time not only is she, I've probably talked about her on the show before because it's so baffling, but she gets the attention she craves after she has a surgery. So people actually, like, it's really sad, but they'll start caring about her because she needs help and all this stuff. So she feels loved. So she keeps going after. She'll find doctors who will perform these surgeries. If they don't think there's anything wrong, she will find someone to do it.
She'll seek them out. It's really sad.
But then I feel like once you're in that, like, now it's like some surgery gone bad where she has to go in and get something fixed. And then, you know,
She's probably had a lot of those.
I think she has.
Where she has to get something fixed that was previously done not correctly or whatever.
She looks like a walking, like a Frankenstein, or like, what's that game you used to play? Operation.
Oh, yeah.
Where that little body's out and you can see all this stuff. It's like, man, she has a giant, like, 6-inch scar down her neck from neck surgery. Oh. And you see both of these huge giant scars on her knees from having her knees replaced. And she's missing a toe because she had an infection that cut her big toe off. Like,
Did she have an infection during surgery?
No, way later. And they cut her whole toe off. So it's like she can't even wear, like, rainbow sandals. There's, like, nothing to hold her onto her feet.
Oh my God.
So it's like she's this walking, like, Frankenstein, like, just been, like, butchered. And you see the scars all over her body, and that's just what I can see. But I know she's had multiple back surgeries, multiple leg surgeries, stuff with her ankles. Like, it's just gnarly.
That's so sad.
It's so gnarly.
Man, you know, it's just, I don't know where this is all going to go. I mean, is the medical industry ever going to change? You know,
I don't know.
Are people going to wake up so that we don't need the medical industry as much? Because, I mean, you know, if you're a long time listener to the show, we know, you know, we're sort of making fun of medical doctors right now, but God bless medical doctors. If it weren't for that, I mean, there's so many, they save lives, you know?
Right.
But for the most part, it's better if we don't need to use them. And are we ever going to get to the point as a society where we don't have to use medical doctors, or are we just going to keep just destroying our health with everything we're doing and then run to them at the end and hoping they can fix whatever catastrophic damage we've caused to ourselves?
I don't know. I mean, I'd like to say anything can change, but the reality is, like, it seems to be a slim chance, but, well, there's just so much money in it. I mean,
for the doctors or
for everybody, the whole industry is just such a big money maker that alone just makes me think they're going to fight till the death on this one of, you know, if all of a sudden they came out with a better way to do something, I just think it would take like 1,000 years for it to become popularized, because people, word of mouth would just have to start speaking out, and people would start like actually I think people are afraid to take a risk. So their trust is still in the system, and they're not secure on their own yet. So until you have people that are secure in believing that they can actually self-heal or heal with different modalities, then it won't change. You know? And
so it's like a rabbit hole kind of a question, right? It's like, okay, so you say, well, I want you to share too that commercial you showed me the other day about HPV,
the Gardasil one or whatever.
You know, it kind of goes into like, okay, so what's wrong with our culture? So in terms of medical and healthcare and stuff like that, well, like one of the top issues is that, like what you just said, where people don't believe that they can either self-heal or they can use substances aside from medical intervention that can actually heal themselves. So they don't try. So they don't believe in that stuff first. And it's like, okay, well, the rabbit hole begins there, because you're like, okay, well, why don't they believe that? Well, they don't believe that because they've watched too many TV shows like
ER,
yeah, and
all those medical
shows like that, medical investigations and all that kind of stuff, and commercials. And so they don't believe that alternative cures do anything because of media propaganda. And why don't they believe that? Well, or why do they believe that? And that's because everyone is looking for someone to lead them. And it goes into this whole spiritual, lack of time, big money, big interest, schooling, education, all growing up, going through schooling, learning that the world works in a certain way.
And then seeing all these people go down around you.
Yeah.
All these people taken out of the game because, they don't do something, or they do the wrong thing, or people just get petrified.
It's such an embedded issue with people, like, I know. How do you change that? Yeah. And I think that they meaning the medical industry is realizing that there's little cracks in the armor that's happening, which is bizarre to me, because to me, the armor should be broken already. We have the internet, but for some reason I still walk around and see women with their cell phones next to their boobs.
I know.
I don't get it. So, but I think they realize that, and which is why they're pouring on the disinformation campaigns even further.
Right.
Which is what
this whole
HPV
fake news thing,
Tell people about that.
Oh gosh. Well, I'm sure most people have heard it. I was playing,
I've never seen that.
You hadn't?
Not until you showed it.
It comes up a lot as a sponsored ad or a paid thing on, YouTube. So I was listening to some, playlist, and all of a sudden in between, this one comes up more often than not. And it's the Gardasil, I think, for the HPV vaccine. And it's these young kids always being interviewed. They're like 10 or 11 or 12. And they say, if I would have known this, I could be spared from this. And my parents should have known. How did they not know? And they go through this whole thing about how it's affected their life. And at the end, they look right at the camera and they're like, did you know, Mom? Did you? Mom? Or Dad, did you know? Dad, did you? And they make them feel so like, it's this like, oh my gosh,
shame
it's like this
parents.
Shaming, chilling, weird, like, oh my gosh, how could parents even know about this and not get the child this vaccine so that they could have saved them from this fate, You don't
want that to be your child.
And of course you don't. And then you'd be a horrible parent.
Yeah, you don't want to be a shameful parent, because if this happens to you, like...
you've never seen it before, huh?
No.
Wasn't it kind of like, Are you kidding me? That's like the lowest, that's the lowest way to get people into being scared and ashamed, so that they're afraid to make the wrong move, so they'll do it because they don't want to be that person whose kid looks at them and says, did you know? First of all, what kid's going to look at their parent and say, did you know? Mom, did you know? Really?
Did you?
Did you?
Did you?
First
you know?
of all. Second of all.
Mom? Hello? Mom? Did you know? Did you know? Did you?
I know.
Come on.
It's like this creepy, weird, script they're reading,
Yeah.
I don't know. And I'm not, it is sad, if people.
But that's the kind of propaganda that they're putting out.
Well,
that's the problem.
Totally.
So now they're moving away from conventional TV ads onto YouTube, and, they're trying. They're really trying to disempower people as much as they can.
Well, yeah. And then I'm thinking, well, gosh, if we just bolster up people's immune systems, no matter what, they're going to be able to fend these things off, whether it's measles and they're great enough to get through it by themselves and their body's stronger, or they, don't get the HPV they don't get the vaccine and they don't get the disease. I never had an HPV vaccine. I've never had a problem.
They're giving it to boys now too.
They're giving it to everybody. And it's this propaganda is really scary.
Yeah, it's weird because at the same time that there's such an advancement of knowledge and people understanding different options, there's also the advancement from the other side with increased propaganda. So you have this
other side.
Yeah, like we've gained a foothold, but then now they're laying it on even thicker, you know, and it's just so sad because you see people.
So obvious what's happening, but.
Yeah, it's so obvious. And, you know, they don't want to relinquish their grip. $1 trillion stranglehold on the American population. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's just so sad because you see people and, you know, we'll drive around. We see people that can barely walk. They're just limping along and it's just sad. Like,
well, we came out of the hospital the other day, you know, you and I went to go visit my grandpa's wife and, you know, with her brain surgery, and that's a whole other thing in itself. It's so sad because they weren't open at all to the Dr. Brzezinski thing.
No.
I told my parents about it so they could tell it to my grandpa's very old. He's going to be 94.
Uh-huh.
And his wife is 82, but you know, at their age, you know, they're not going to be able to make a trip like that, or they don't have the money for that, or that was the answer. So first of all, there was no hope other than this chemo radiation surgery thing that they've suggested. But yeah, you and I go into that medical tower and coming out, it's just like, man, all these people with walkers. And then the next day when I went into last week when I went into the medical tower for my appointment with this doctor I just spoke about, same thing. I mean, there was hundreds of people I saw going in and out, like for the few minutes I was there and taking elevators. It was like, had to be at least 100 people that either had like some kind of walker, some kind of limp, looked like they were doubled over in pain, or had like really bad color and looked like they were sick, or some kind of like physical like bruises and lacerations. I mean, it's like all these sick people just stumbling into this big office tower building, and it just was like,
it's so sad. Like your life doesn't have to be like that.
No, you know? And like what series of bad choices or just unfortunate events led these people to this, and they just thought that this is what was handed to them, and this is their lot in life. I mean, who's okay with that? Nobody wants to be bent over like an L, you know,
barely
or like
walking.
Yeah, and just have your head off your body and you're walking with this walker thing. And a lot of these people are way too young, you know, they're not even old.
It's crazy. Like, you know, what's his name? Do you know about Paul Bragg? You know, the guy that started
apple
Bragg?
cider?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know his story.
Apparently he died at like 94 in a surfing accident in Hawaii. He was surfing.
No way.
And you know, it's like, okay, well, that could be your fate, or doubled over at 60, at 70 with a walker. Yeah. And this doesn't obviously take into account accidents and things like that, like car crashes or whatever, stuff like that. And I realize that, but you know, for the most part, how we are able to experience life when we're 70 and 80 is directly dependent on how we treat ourselves now, you know?
For sure.
Like every bite of that hamburger, every bite of, you know, Haagen-Dazs ice cream or whatever, you know, ice cream,
right,
you know, is affecting our genetic expression and the cells that are going to be created from that. And everything. It puts a tremendous burden on all the organs of the body, all this food.
Totally.
And you do that for 30, 40, 50 years, and all of a sudden, when you're 70...
You got a walker.
Yeah, you got a walker. And,
yeah, or you're shuffling around, not able to like go to the mailbox. I mean, there's a little...
Anytime I go to a place like that, a medical tower or some kind of hospital or something, it always inspires me to keep... It not only inspires, but it inspires me it justifies my reasoning for all the things we do every day to take care of ourselves. But it also motivates me to do even more.
Me too.
You know, because it's like, you know.
You can't just stay baseline, like, good. You have to like keep building. Otherwise, if you don't keep building, if you don't use it, you lose it, kind of thing, you know? Yeah, it's been such an eye opener with, you know, sometimes we were talking about like, you just think that, oh, my family, like everyone seems okay. They've gotten away with it. My grandpa's 94. Like, I just have really good genes, and you know, these people are old and they're alive. Like, I'm just going through a rough time. Like, I'm sure I'll turn out like them. But then when they start to crumble around you, it's like my grandpa's wife's probably had this brain cancer growing for the last decade. You know, if not shy of it, but you know, and then my aunt's having problems, and you know, my sister's starting to have some issues, and you start to see people like around you, and you're like, wow, they can't. Like at Thanksgiving, everything seems fine, and sometimes you feel sorry for yourself that you can't eat the stuffing and the pumpkin pie and the whipped cream and stuff. I mean, you can, but I don't.
Yeah.
Because it affects my digestion so badly.
Right.
So, but I always think, oh man, maybe I'm just I'm focused too much on this. Sometimes I really think like,
why don't we just have a good time? And
and I always pay for it. And I've learned that I can't do that. And sometimes I get, less than happy about it.
Right.
But I think, wow, these people are fine. And then they're not so fine.
They're fine until they're not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it makes you realize this is why, I just hope we're another channel of waking up for people.
Yeah.
I don't care who people listen to. I just hope that we're one of them out there among millions and thousands that start to encourage the people around them that you don't have to live like this and you don't have to take the status quo,
I know you want to it's so challenging because you want to just shake people and tell them there's a better way. But unfortunately, most of the people that you see at hospitals are typically older and they've lived a lifetime of these destructive habits. Mm-hmm. But you want to just tell
shaking them
people,
would make them fall over and their heads would fall off. You probably have to hug them and tell them, not shake them.
But then you
wouldn't
want to crack them or anything.
Yeah, that would be bad.
But it's just so like, oh man, I hate seeing people like that in such a state because
so sad.
They're spending the majority of their time trying to fix all their ailments instead of, imparting wisdom to the upcoming generations.
I know.
And,
and how can you do that when you're just in crap health?
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
Who's going to think about, passing on generational wisdom or spirituality or
insights, experiences.
Yeah. When you're laid up and just so focused on getting through another day without having pain or falling over. It's just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it's like, I often have to make sure that I keep myself in line where I don't think, okay, I'm doing all of this to avoid becoming sick.
Right.
I have to think of the other, okay, like how healthy can I get?
Right.
How much energy can I get? How much improvement can I make on my lower back? How much, how flexible can I be? How fit can I be? And, always moving in that direction. But it's always a push-pull with things. Motivation comes in positive and negative. And sometimes it's more negative, sometimes more positive. But the negative is always there. And it's always there for me to say, okay, I could easily just have this can of beer if I really wanted it. But okay, so sometimes what allows me to say no is sometimes more the negative stuff rather than the positive stuff.
Right.
But sometimes too, it's like, well, sometimes I'll ask myself, okay, well, where is this, food going to take me? Is this food going to allow me to become the fullest expression of myself? Sometimes I'll think of it like that. Sometimes I'll think of it, well, I just don't want to end up in with Alzheimer's disease from aluminum poisoning and that kind of stuff,
That's interesting because I'm thinking about my own diet and it's like, I avoid things because of how bad I feel. I've just realized I make decisions throughout the day of what I eat based on how I'm going to feel or not feel. Mm-hmm. It's weird. I don't know why.
Do you ever not eat something, choose not to eat it based on the outcome of a lifetime of doing that?
Not as much as you do. Mm-hmm. I do it more like thinking, oh, today I'm going to be laid up in bed. I'm not going to be able to go to work.
Oh, you won't feel good.
Yeah. Or I'm going to suffer for a week. Well, kind of, but then in a way it becomes a crippling effect too, because it seems
be fearful.
Yeah. You don't want to be fearful. And also sometimes it isn't as bad as I think it is if I quote cheat a little or do something different, or it's not as bad. Right. Yeah, sometimes I guess I just don't think it's that bad of like, it's not as bad as sometimes as others, Sometimes the flare-ups are horrible and they mess with my mind. Oh, yeah. And then I become afraid of trying it ever again. So it's like, I don't ever want that to become a weird way that I think. I'm like you, I'm trying to retrain my brain to think long-term. Over the years, when I get to this point, is it going to be worth being, hunkered over, laying in my recliner all day? Or is it going to be, hopefully I'm doing yoga and healthy and vibrant.
Taking hikes and stuff.
Yeah. And just, I need to start thinking more like that. I do think about the long term and how food affects me, but not my daily, my daily choices, but mine are more based off of fear, I think, because they make me so unwell.
Yeah. And that's a challenge too, because you don't want to become fearful. The fear is bad, but then also you're fearing and not trusting in your body. Right. Like the other day we're talking about enzymes and you're like, oh, I hope that I'll be able to digest this food. And it's like,
that's become a new crutch,
Yeah, become a new crutch.
Right.
And if you're constantly building these crutches, it becomes something in and of itself that you have to get rid of.
Right. And I know. And when you become aware of that, because I used to take the laser, our Q laser that we keep mentioning, every day with me to work in case I'd have a flare up of my pancreas or liver or whatever. Because I've had or the fibroid, these really gnarly pains. So I've just been leaving it at home more. I'll take it only if I'm like, oh, it's a good time on the drive to work to knock out these, laser sessions, but not out of fear of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be totally like, I'll be up a creek if I don't have that with me,
Yeah.
I had to let that go.
That's hard to do.
It is hard to do.
It's hard to do because a lot of people will think, and I'm sure see us like, remember last time everybody was over and, we're having, I forget what it was for. And I said I was fasting because it was Sunday.
Oh,
what was
yeah.
That? Was that for, and that was with Gloria before she was even went to the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just thought, oh wow,
I think
everyone
it was Easter.
Probably thinks I'm crazy,
Or it's Father's Day. That's what it was. Day?
Or
Easter, I don't know.
It's easy to just I think it's important to have all kinds of different motivation. Like some people have very vain motivations. I want to have sexy stomach or something. And then some people just don't want to feel bad like you. And some people, don't want to end up in an old folks home, unable to remember who you are. That's the negative. And some people want to become like, live until they're 150 with abundant energy. And so I think it's important to have all those types of motivations for like, because it's like you have 5 or 6 motivations. And so before you pick up a bite of food, it's like, okay, well, which one do I feel will be the most powerful motivation for me now to avoid this? And it's only going to be one of those, really. So if you have like 5 different reasons why you act the way you act, then in the moment you can say like, oh wow, I like this. This isn't going to allow me to be taking yoga classes at 110, or you might just be kind of in a downer day. You might be like, well, I don't want to end up in an old folks home. This is what this
or
food
wheelchair
does.
Yeah.
So having all those different types of motivations and sitting down and figuring out, what they all are, even if some of them are fear, at least you have them.
Yeah. Good point.
But I think a lot of people just don't think at all. They just eat the food and hope for the best.
Shove it in their pie hole. Shovel it on down.
You want to do 1 or 2 questions, then we'll take off?
Sure, it sounds good.
Yeah, let's just keep it short here. I've got one. Okay, Russ writes in, thank you, Justin, so much for following up. Oh, this is about the sauna. And for the $125 refund, we ran a sale, I think, and he bought right around that time, so we gave him the refund.
That's cool.
I apologize for just getting back to you now. Somehow this message and another message sent you confirming the purchase got routed. Okay. Anyway, I appreciate your customer service and the quick delivery. I believe we ordered Monday, the 29th, and it was at our house on Thursday afternoon.
Nice.
Awesome. My wife and I have used it twice already, and we love it. I really think it's going to give us multiple health benefits. Thanks for the tips about using the towels and the corrugated tubing around the neck and your other email. Great advice. My wife is a huge fan of your show. And I loved the 2 shows that I've listened to and plan to listen more. Keep up the good work, Russ.
Oh, cool. Right on.
That's cool.
Thanks, Russ.
Yeah, Russ ordered a sauna from us a little while back. Jerry writes in. He says, hello, Justin. I remember your interviews with Dr. Marshall and was saddened to hear of his recent passing. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on his sudden passing, although I read that he had been ill. I so admired him and his lifestyle and knowledge. His knowledge of the physics of the biofield and how to cure disease, as well as utilizing digestive aids and HCl, makes it more confusing as he was not old yet and his diet and lifestyle did not seem to yield him longevity. Thank you for your hard work and commitment to your passion. Sincerely, Jerry. That's an interesting question because he just passed away.
How do you know?
All I know is I think it was in his sleep.
How old was he?
I don't know. I don't think he was yet 80. I think it was like in his late 70s.
Okay. You don't know any facts or any kind of...
No.
You haven't seen any follow-up, like Aaron at Health Net News didn't cover it or anything?
Yeah, she covered it. But
she did?
Yeah, but there was nothing...
Nothing shady and sinister?
No, yeah, I don't think they took him down. I mean, I don't know. They could have, but...
Wow.
Yeah, stuff like that is hard because, you have these titans in the field of longevity and health and all of this. And, and they don't live as long as, your grandpa who doesn't take care of himself and he's 94.
I know. I've been over there, unfortunately, having to microwave his dinners for him when his wife's been in the hospital. And I'm like, microwave? How are you alive?
They have Meals on Wheels, right?
Which is an awesome program for people who need food. Like, no knocking them, but they don't know anything about nutrition or health. And
right.
And you put these things in the microwave. Oh my gosh, it just kills me.
Does he put plastic? I hope he takes the plastic off.
No, you're supposed to cover it in plastic. I take it off in plastic and put a paper towel over it, and then I step out of the room away from the microwave because it scares the heck out of me. I haven't been around a microwave that's running for like years.
How do you explain that? You know, your
I know. How are you 94 and
94, still going strong, walks around the neighborhood.
I know.
And yet
I don't know.
You know, I think a lot of times people throw the baby out with the bathwater. Mm-hmm. And just because someone isn't, because there's a whole thing too. There's a couple different layers to this. Just because someone doesn't act out what he teaches doesn't necessarily mean that what he's teaching is wrong.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing to be, you know, maybe, you know, if all the studies are showing what he's teaching is true, you know, if he didn't live that way, then you can understand it. But the fact that he died, Dr. Marshall, you know, it doesn't necessarily, you know, maybe there's so many factors that could have gone into that, you know, and just because, you know, it's like, we know it's good to put good quality gas in your car, and what happens when you don't. And so just because someone gets away with it doesn't mean that everyone should do that. Right. And that is ideal. Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's hard. I kind of go back to the whole, hey, and you know, you kind of don't have ultimate control. Mm-hmm. Like, who knows why? I mean, God knows why. We don't know why when it's your time. Yeah. And you could have come in here to do your mission, and that's it. And that's it. Yeah. You know, we always talk about Jess Ainscoe, you know, the wellness warrior, and just how sad that was. But was it? I mean, she came and changed her world. She changed the atmosphere when she left. So is that what she was here to do? Maybe that was all. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Yeah. There's spiritual reasons for it too. Yeah, I think that a lot of people will say, "Oh, I've got good genes, and you know, I've got good genes in the family. I can do whatever I want." But you know, I always say, well, if you have good genes, don't see how much you can get away with. See how far you can go. Totally. You know, totally. If your genes, if the average age where people die in your family is 95, why not see if you start taking care of yourself at 25? Why not see if you can live to 125? Yeah, superpower it all. Yeah. Right. Become the best version of all those genes put together that's ever happened. Yeah. And change the landscape for your kids in the future. And yeah, you become the one that lives to 125. Yeah. Your kids could live to 150. And I know. Yeah, I think there's so much that we could be doing if we looked at it like that. You're totally right. Yeah. Totally right. Well, we should wrap up this show. That was fun. It's a wrap. Thanks for chatting. Yeah, totally. Hopefully that wasn't TMI, too much info on my doctor's appointment. No way. This was episode 536. Let me make sure. Which I am on, by the way. What's that? I'm on this show. I'm just telling people I am here. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm on this one. So everyone, there's no confusion there. Yeah, yeah. It's cool. I'm glad we should do this a couple times a month, huh? I think I've been meaning to, and I'd like to get back to that. Yeah, that'd be fun. Amen. All right, guys, if you want to check out this show, it is extremehealthradio.com/535. And just to let you know, too, we are creating a membership site that's going to dive into all of these issues that we're talking about today in much more detail with a lot of practical how-to information. And we're recruiting a lot of the top-level doctors that we have had on the show to create courses for everybody. So if this is something you're interested in, it's going to be well worth your time and effort to sign up to our newsletter list for that particular thing. So I'll put a link to the academy at extremehealthradio.com/536. If you sign up to that list, you'll get access to the cheapest pricing ever. So we're going to launch it in 3 different phases, and each phase it's going to go up in price. It'll be a monthly cost, but if you sign up early to that list, you'll get access to the cheapest price it'll ever be. So I want to let people know about that. No, that's cool. Yeah. Thanks. Also, thanks, guys, for your support in our store by buying through our Amazon link. We really appreciate that. Thank you for your support on Patreon and PayPal, sending us a couple dollars a month. That helps keep the show free, helps to keep Charlie and Maggie alive. Oh, she looks like Benjamin Button laying over there on her little blanket. I put a picture of on Instagram the other. Was her tongue out? Like during a few weeks back, saying this is what she does when we're recording. I remember that one. She's just bored. Charlie's like a little old man. I know, she's bored. She's so cute. Girl named Chuck. Girl named Chuck. So thanks, guys, for your support on PayPal and Patreon. We really appreciate that by sending a couple bucks a month. And also, thanks for checking out our store. We're adding new products all the time. And our store. Yeah. And by you guys supporting us like this is how we're able to do the show. So this is how we're able to eat. We live off everything that we make, and this is our full-time thing. So I think on our next free for all too, I'd love to mention the tools we've been using lately. Some new ones we've added into our arsenal. Yeah.